Coronation Street is set to deliver some major drama on the cobbles next week as several explosive storylines unfold. Recent episodes revealed that predatory teacher Megan Walsh had been involved in an inappropriate relationship with teenage student Will Driscoll. Sam Blakeman became suspicious about their connection, leading Megan and Will to make his life miserable in an attempt to keep the truth hidden. After suffering from Megan's cruel behavior and falling out badly with Will, Sam has been struggling deeply with his mental health, especially anxiety and paranoia. In next week's episodes, his condition worsens dramatically as he begins experiencing psychosis and starts seeing two different versions of Roy Cropper. At the same time, Megan turns her attention back to Will after he finally accepted that he had been groomed and abused by her before reporting her to the police. In upcoming scenes, Sam watches an interaction between Will and Hope Stape, causing his thoughts to spiral further out of control. Will opens up to Hope about wanting to quit athletics because it reminds him too much of Megan, but Hope encourages him not to let Megan continue controlling his life. Things become even more disturbing when Sam believes he hears Roy urging him to take action against Will permanently. When Sam insists he could never hurt anyone, the hallucinated Roy calls him weak and claims their friendship is over. Later in the week, Sam casually brings up the previous incident to the real Roy, who is left confused by the conversation, although Sam fails to notice his reaction. Meanwhile, Will tells Hope that an old athletics friend from Hull has contacted him wanting to meet up, but when Will arrives expecting to see Lee, he is shocked to discover Megan waiting for him instead, realizing he has been tricked. What exactly does Megan want? The following day, Sam's condition deteriorates further as he imagines Roy standing beside him, whispering frightening warnings in his ear. At the Rovers, Sam finds Will alone in the back room, playing a shooting game. Convinced by the hallucinated Roy that Will plans to kill him too, Sam panics and runs away. He rushes into the cafe and locks the door behind him while Will desperately bangs outside trying to help. Inside, the real Roy finds Sam in a severely distressed state. Sam becomes terrified after seeing both the real Roy and the hallucinated version at the same time, leaving him unable to understand what is happening. Outside the cafe, Nick Tilsley, Toya Battersby, and Leanne Battersby gather and beg Sam to let them in, while Roy faces the danger of dealing with Sam's increasingly unstable behavior. Soon afterwards, Carla Connor notices Sam wandering around the precinct and immediately realizes something is seriously wrong. Seeing the fear in his eyes, Carla gently tries to calm him while secretly calling for help. After contacting Nick, Carla continues trying to reassure Sam, but when Nick and David Platt arrive, Sam suddenly runs off again. Clearly shaken, Carla fears that Sam is suffering from psychosis. Will Sam get the help he desperately needs? And what happens next? Carl Webster's hopes of redemption are completely shattered in upcoming Coronation Street scenes as he once again slips back into his dangerous old habits. Carl has never exactly been one of Weatherfield's good guys. From having an affair with his brother's wife to deliberately knocking down Tyrone Dobbs in a hit and run, his history is filled with betrayal and destruction. But his crimes go even further than that. Carl was also responsible for causing a devastating multi-car crash that killed the local vicar before cruelly manipulating his own mother, who was struggling with dementia, into taking the blame for what happened. His behavior has been so disgraceful that he even found himself among the list of possible victims in Coronation Street's major murder mystery storyline, alongside dangerous figures like abusive Theo Silverton and manipulative predator Megan Walsh. Even Debbie Webster finally reached the point where she could no longer tolerate Carl's toxic behavior. Desperate to get him out of Weatherfield, she handed him £2,000 and ordered him to leave the cobbles behind for good. However, Kevin Webster wasn't prepared to let Carl walk away with Debbie's money and secretly stole the cash back so he could return it to her. Furious over being humiliated, Carl decided to take revenge by sneaking into his uncle's garage and tampering with one of the vehicles. His actions effectively became an attempted attack on Kevin, although considering Carl's long list of terrible decisions, it barely ranked among his worst moments. Fortunately, Carl failed to complete the sabotage after someone interrupted him and accidentally knocked the car jack, causing the vehicle to collapse on top of him. That person was Tyrone Dobbs, though Tyrone has no intention of admitting his involvement because it could easily look like deliberate revenge. If viewers believe nearly being crushed under a falling car might finally change Carl for the better, they clearly don't know him very well. Pretending to suffer memory loss after the accident, Carl already suspects Tyrone is hiding something and becomes determined to uncover the truth. While Carl arguably deserves to know who caused the accident, faking amnesia and intimidating one of Weatherfield's kindest mechanics hardly suggests he has turned over a new leaf. And things are only going to become even darker. Carl's troubled history with cars stretches back years. Alongside his hit-and-run and deadly pileup, he was previously involved in selling stolen and faulty motors with career criminal Fiona Morley. Thankfully, the illegal operation eventually collapsed after Kevin Webster and Ronnie Bailey planned to frame Carl as the mastermind behind the business with Fiona's assistance. But when Ronnie backed out at the last moment, an angry Fiona exposed the entire scheme directly to Carl. Upcoming episodes will see Carl tempted back into criminal activity once again, all because he desperately needs money. A resentful Kevin informs Carl that another garage has requested a work reference for him. Unsurprisingly, Kevin refuses to help and makes it clear Carl will get nothing from him. Moments later, Carl receives a phone call from Fiona offering him another shady business opportunity. Will Carl ignore the temptation and finally change his ways, or will he fully embrace his dark side once again? Deep down, everyone already knows the answer. Coronation Street actor Ben Price has hinted at an emotional and difficult period ahead for Nick Tilsley as his personal life becomes increasingly complicated. Alongside trying to support his son Sam Blakeman through ongoing mental health struggles, Nick is also forced to face the painful reality of Leanne Battersby moving on with someone new. Although Nick is currently in a relationship with Toya Battersby, he still carries lingering feelings for Leanne, despite their marriage ending in the past. Those emotions are set to resurface when Leanne grows close to newcomer Idris Nazir. As Sam continues battling his own emotional problems during Leanne's upcoming storyline, Idris gradually becomes involved in the teenager's life as well. His growing bond with both Sam and Leanne leaves Nick struggling to cope with the situation. Speaking about the storyline, Ben Price explained that Nick finds the entire situation deeply upsetting. According to the actor, Idris quickly forms a connection with Sam, leaving Nick feeling isolated before his emotions eventually turn into frustration and protectiveness. Price also suggested that Nick starts questioning himself as a father figure, realizing that teenagers dealing with emotional difficulties often find it easier to open up to someone outside their immediate family rather than their main caregiver. The actor went on to explain that while outside support can sometimes help teenagers feel more comfortable talking about their problems, it can still be incredibly hard for parents to stand by and watch someone else become that source of comfort, especially when the person involved is also becoming a romantic interest for an ex-partner. Nick's insecurities are only made worse by the fact that Idris is very different from the men Leanne has dated in the past. Ben Price revealed that while Nick was never particularly bothered by Leanne's previous relationships, Idris presents a very different kind of challenge. Unlike some of Leanne's former partners, Idris is a successful businessman, something that unsettles Nick because he takes pride in his own status as the owner of the bistro. Price added that Nick often tries to appear calm and in control, but the storyline will expose moments where his confidence begins to crumble. According to the actor, that emotional vulnerability makes the character far more interesting, especially as Idris proves to be someone capable of matching Nick in several ways. Coronation Street continues airing on ITV1 during weeknights and is also available for streaming on ITVX.